So, welcome everybody to TMA's DAW Basics. And today we'll be going over the basics of Reaper, kind of a very popular digital audio workstation that's used within the Youtaite community and actually just in general. Um, I am Zal. I am a kind of like I started in this Youtaite community for 3 years, but I have some background in audio engineering. I went to school and studied a minor at my university, and while this information is still fresh in my head, I'm gonna try and present some of this information to you guys. And this is brought to you by the TMA. Thank you everybody in the TMA for hosting all this stuff. Let's see and get started. So, a recap from last week. Sensi did a wonderful job presenting just like the information about what a DAW is, and here I'm just gonna recap a few things. Digital audio workstation. That's a DAW is the acronym for a digital audio workstation. Some examples of digital audio workstations are like Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, Fruity Loops, and Studio One, and they are digital editing. They're used for digital editing, mixing, mastering, and multi-track audio. And I think it's very important to know that what's in the digital realm, what we use on the computer, is all based on the physical console. Basically the analog multi-track tape recorders and consoles that were used in recording studios back then. So, essentially, uh, I wanted to talk about kind of uh, what a track, what a track is. I think this is a great place to start. The term track is still used with DAWs, even though there's no physical track, because back then, um, tracks were, there's actually physical tracks. Recording was limited by the number of physical tracks and channels on consoles, but with digital audio, we can make like hundreds of tracks, and um, with like basically it's just hindered by how powerful your computer is. It's important to know that a track is just a container for audio. It's used to keep different sources separate. Uh, on the bottom, I have a few images you can see. Um, on the left is an actual physical mixing console. The Over here you can see there is the channel, and then if you group up two channels, you can it can be considered a stereo track. And on the right over here, you can see is the uh, it's a digital mixing console. There's the single track, and there is two channels over here. Oh, sorry, single channel, and then two channels that can make up a stereo track. Okay, gonna just keep moving on. Sensi mentioned in his previous Sensi mentioned in his workshop what an audio bus is, and I just want to further reinforce what he said, and just say that it's audio bus is hardware or software where multiple signals may be combined into a single signal without artifacts or a reduction in signal quality. I'd love to go into routing and such another time when we talk about like aux buses and aux buses, submixes buses, and etc. But for now, I just wanted to give the formal definition that was told to me from class, and ever since I've stuck with it and such. But I would love to go through this another time. Okay, let's see. So we can move into. Actually, I should mention. Does anyone have any questions at the moment from what I just presented? I'm I just went through like 3 slides. We just went over track and just audio buses. because I think those are two pretty important features and just basic knowledge that we should know before moving into Reaper. If anyone has any questions, you can say so now. Okay, I will then move on. No questions. Introduction to Reaper. All right, here we go. So, what is Reaper? Reaper is actually an acronym for Rapid Environment for Audio Production, Engineering, and Recording, developed by Kakos. On their site, I just copy and pasted how they market their tool. Reaper is a complete digital audio production application for computers, offering a full multi-track audio and MIDI recording, editing, processing, mixing, and mastering toolset. Um, you guys might know it as some of the things about Reaper is that it's a very affordable DAW. It's extensively customizable, pretty light on your processing, but unfortunately the user interface is not so intuitive, I would say. That's probably the one thing that kind of scares people, especially scared me when I first downloaded it. Okay. Features of Reaper. Remember how I said that tracks are made of channels and such, and they hold audio? Well, in other digital audio workstations and actually mixing consoles and such, um, you have to dedicate tracks to do certain things and such. Like there's aux buses. There's and for other things there's like MIDI tracks for other DAWs. In Reaper, all tracks are universal. So a track can be audio, a track can be a MIDI, a track can be a bus, and a track can actually be a folder that contains other tracks. Um, I think these are really important core features of what makes Reaper Reaper, as opposed to like if you ever use Pro Tools, um, you have to create specific tracks that are MIDI or specific tracks that are buses or specific tracks that are master buses and such. But for this one track can be anything. You just have to think of it as like, oh, this one's going to be an audio track. This one's going to be a MIDI track, and that's why I think it's also very important to um, organize, especially. So Reaper is highly customizable. You can customize the user interface. On the website, they have a community of people and I think a download page. You can find different themes for Reaper that changes the UI to suit your need. Personally, I actually I use a Reaper theme, or a custom Reaper UI that changes it to look like Pro Tools. It's not exactly like Pro Tools, but it's a it's a way that I am familiar with after coming back from class and using Pro Tools. I feel comfortable using the UI in Reaper. On us other things about Reaper is that it supports scripting and modifications. You can actually, if you know Python and Lua, you can automate certain things. You can create scripts to do special things. But that's for like kind of the software people that like to tinker around with their things. That's why I say that Reaper is very customizable. It's all and it over. I should also mention the features. Another feature is that it supports all the modern capabilities of the modern day digital DAWs and such. So I think the next one is we're gonna go into the UI. So assuming you guys have Reaper installed, whether it's the demo version or the a licensed version, this will be the first thing that pops up when you open it up. When you open up Reaper, you're presented with this kind of a lot of boxes and a grid and some things at the top, and the first thing you'll probably think is, what the heck do I do? that's what that's certainly how I started. But let's break it. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna try my best to break it down and show you bit by bit. Over here is the timeline that's assigned to like the grid, and there are two main windows, similar to the last week's workshop. Uh, there are two main windows here. You can see over here is the arrange area, but that's also can be called the edit window. It's where all you're gonna see all the waveforms, and you're gonna be able to do edits, slicing, and etc. etc. And oh, I think the okay. Over here, you could see is the mix window. This is where we can see all the tracks, all the faders, and the master track especially. Can go over. So some of the bars for in Reaper, this is the menu bar where it has like the file, edit, insert, and all the drop down menus. Over here is the main toolbar. These are just like fast buttons to access like open files and load files, or to undo or redo. Over here is the transport bar. The transport bar is where you'll have the play, stop, pause, record, an arm button. It also has all the information about your track, the time, the BPM, the time signature, and it also has like a little slider that you can adjust to slow down or speed up the audio. Let's move in. Oh, moved in a little further. All right. So over here is kind of a full-sized image of, say, a recording session right now. Over here in this part of the window is the track control panel, and over here is the mixing control panel, or also the mix window. This is where you're gonna see all the tracks, and it's also where you can create tracks and kind of tweak them with the knobs and buttons. Also have over there, this is a media item. It's the audio file. You can see the waveform, and over here is like a single track. You can see this track, the track you make in the inside the track control panel will also show up in the mixer control panel in the bottom. So over here, we'll take a little closer look at the track. You can see these are all the button layouts. These are what all the buttons do inside of a track. I figured this would be yeah. Basically, you have your arm to record. You can name tracks here, volume control, route control, etc. I'm not too sure if I might go into a little bit about what each button does. I can show that in the demonstration portion of this, which will be actually right now. All right, I'm gonna try my best to do this and show you guys what Reaper looks like, and I'll explain. The first thing that I will do and explain is the main toolbar. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up Reaper. We're going to first make a brand new session. Okay, so over here we have a blank user interface right now. You can see over here I'm gonna explain some of what these buttons do over here. Okay, so over here is you can create a new project. These are the first 5 buttons are pretty self-explanatory. Open project, save project, project settings. You can adjust parameters inside that. We can go over that in a second. Here's an undo and a redo, and this is the metronome. You can click and disable it, and it'll basically just play clicks every time it'll play clicks based off the BPM you set on your project. and such. It won't. It plays now. You could hear the metronome going. You can also, if you right click it, you can see all the settings for all the metronomes. For the metronome, you can change the pattern. You can change actually the sound it makes. If you don't like Reaper's default pops, you can like set it to your own sound if you want. Next to the metronome is auto crossfade. So let's see. I think the best way to explain this is let's maybe drag a track in. So what I'm gonna just do is I'm gonna pull up an audio file. Let's just drag this in. So for Reaper, you can actually just drag audio and just drop it into the project. I want to explain what auto crossfade does. So if you want, let's first split this audio. I'm gonna click here. You can see over here. I'm gonna left click over here, and I'm going to. You can see the little arrow and the little line going down. I'm just gonna press S, which is split track. I remember Sensi mentioning at the end that shortcuts will save your life. Well, here's a shortcut that you should memorize. S is for slice, right? Auto crossfade. If I were to click at the very end of this file right here and drag, you could see this little these little curves, right? This is an auto crossfade. Basically, it will fade this part of the file into this file that I sliced into the other file that I sliced. That's what auto crossfade does. If I were to turn it off, it would just overlap and nothing really would happen. Considering that these are the same files, you could kind of see over here, they kind of overlap where it's highlighted. So, just gonna Control Z. Okay, and that. Next to auto crossfade, I'm gonna turn it back on, is item grouping. So item grouping is kind of a neat little trick. Say that I want to slice up a bunch of this audio. Again, I'm just clicking over here, left clicking on the audio, and I'm pressing S. And if I were to click here and I want to select only specific ones, I would control left click, and select what I want. If it isn't apparent, I am actually using Windows right now. I believe if you were on Mac, it would be Apple click, or maybe just Control click. I'm not too sure. Anyways, you can see that if I select all of these, I can just move those specific files. And since I have item grouping on, I can use this shortcut command Alt-Shift-G. And what it will do is it will group all the files together, so that if I click this, it selects all of the ones that I grouped together. The alternative thing, instead of using the shortcut, you can select them all, and instead of left clicking, you would right click, and you can come down to group items and such, and that would group all the items together. You can see that they're grouped together with the little green icons over here. Anyways, I think I can go further into grouping when we move into editing. I just want to quickly give an overview of this menu bar. So let's undo everything again. Over here is ripple editing. So it's by default turned off. Ripple editing is kind of a similar thing that I would say Audacity does. So let's click on an area and let's slice it, okay? So ripple editing right now is turned off. If I were to currently arm this track right now and record and say la 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 la, and I hit save all, well, right now it kind of just overrides it. Actually, it creates a take, which I will go over later. it basically kind of like inserts itself into the file. But if I were to say turn ripple editing on, right, and I were to hit record, oh, I gotta arm it, go la 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 la. Oh, well, shoot. Well, anyways, I'm pretty sure that what it should be doing is that it pushes this out that way. I apologize. I was just going over these features a few days ago, and I probably should have tested them out. But either ways, I don't think it's really important to keep it on. I would keep ripple editing currently off. I think. Yeah, I would keep ripple editing off at the moment. Um, Envelope points move with media items. This has to do with automation. I'll go into that later when we talk about either later or another workshop. I'll talk about automation. Grid lines. You probably always want to have this enabled because, as you can see, there's no grid lines here. Leave this on. You always want to see your grid lines and stuff over here. But you could though, is you can edit the grid lines here. So if you right click the grid lines enabled, you can actually edit and adjust the spacing. So right now you can see that everything is split up in quarter notes. Well, what you could do is you could change it to eighth notes, and now, or you can change it to 16th notes depending on the song. But for now, let's just leave it at quarter notes. And there's a lot of other things that I can go over some other time, but for now, I'm just talking about this area. So that's the grid settings. Over here is the snap. You can snap to the grid line, each grid line, essentially. So like you can see that if I click over in the middle of this line right here, it'll just snap to the closest. This might be useful if you're trying to like do looping and etc., things like that. So, and you can turn it back on and off. And locking, I think all it does is just lock tracks. Okay, I'm not too sure about that one. I apologize. But anyways, that is the main toolbar. I think that's what I said it was right. The main toolbar. These are just like quick commands that you could, or quick things you can just click and toggle on and off and such. So we can move on to something that I actually covered inside a introduction to Reaper tutorial. What we're gonna do is kind of set the audio paths, set my file paths, set audio autosaves, and set backups. While in the meantime, I'll explain kind of what some of the menus do. Okay, so a lot of Reaper's settings are found inside the over here, the project settings, or you can go to file and you can go to project settings, and they're also found inside of the preferences. If you go to options and you come down to preferences, you can find that there. But for now, what we're gonna do is kind of go over something that I think everyone should do when they first start Reaper, is kind of set file paths and set autosaves and such, because staying organized, if you have default Reaper, it kind of just spits everything out into where a file, and it's kind of messy. And so we're going to organize that. Okay, so we're going to go to file, and we're going to go to project settings. That's going to open up this window. Over here we're going to go to project settings. Over here you can see a bunch of parameters here. You can see my project sample rate, you can see the project BPM, time signature, and the other things over here. This is the algorithm for like stretching and time and pitching. What we're concerned with is in the media tab over here, and over here it says path to save media files. So over here I your field would be empty. I called it audio files right now. Um, so I named it audio files. Basically, any recording that you do at the moment, like if I were to hit record and record my voice in this, it will basically create a folder within my project and call it audio files. So now I can have all my recordings all inside one folder and such. Um, I would for your sake you can name it however you want. Video advanced. We're not concerned with those tabs, but only just this tab, right? And we're just gonna hit save as default. I think actually it'd be a good thing. What I should have done first is save this project. As you can see right now, this project is unsaved. If I were to close out, this file would be completely gone, and this all my work would be gone. Make sure you always save when you start a new project. In order to do that, all we do here, and go File, Save Project As, and we're just gonna go to Reaper. Let's go to like I think I have a tutorial folder for now. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Anyways, let's just call it something. Let's call it um, TMA mixing Reaper. Okay. Before you save, right, you're gonna want to this little checkbox over here will be turned off. I suggest keeping this on so that it creates a folder, basically a folder for your project, right? So if I hit save, I have now TMA mixing Reaper, right? If I go check what's inside there right now, if I go check, let's see, let me pull that up right now. 1 second. Look over here in my folder of things. You can see TMA mixing Reaper, and here's my project. Okay. So, again, if we look back at the project settings and media, you can see audio files. If I were to record something, like I say, let's just say la 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 la, right? And I hit save all. If I check back inside this folder, you can see it created a folder called audio files. And inside there is that recording. Okay, so what we should do now is probably set up auto saving, because auto saving will save your life in the case that your project crashes. You don't want to lose hours of work. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. We're going to go to options, and we're going to go all the way down to preferences, and you're met with a long list of things that you can adjust, tweak, and all sorts of things. We're going to start just with at the general. You can see general, and we're going to click on paths. Okay. So over here, this field will most likely be blank at the moment. What I would do for here is create another folder, and depends what you want to call it. I called it renders. If anyone has used Pro Tools, this would be the bounce folder. Anytime you mix down a project, it will create another folder inside your project and call it renders. For example, if I were to go do that, I hit there, go to render, and I hit render now. You can show in the Explorer. As you can see, there's another folder right there, renders. Yay! Alright, let's keep going. Let's go back to preferences and paths. Over here, this will already be set by default. We're gonna go now to the project settings. Actually, project inside preferences. Don't get confused with project settings from the file. Okay. So, all this is where you can set the project saving. What I would do is keep the imitate the settings I have here. I believe what will if this will be checked off, I would check this on, and then you would write this in. This is a backslash autosaves. Unfortunately, Reaper doesn't have a simple way of like creating a new directory for your autosaves. This was just a program software workaround by creating a new directory called autosaves, and I set it to save every 10 minutes and such. You can set it at however much you want, and I would set it to any time. And yeah, that's how you set up autosaves. We're gonna go all the way down. The other thing, we're gonna go all the way down to, I think, what is it? Media. Yeah, media. There's a little button over here. It says put a new peak file in peak subfolder relative to media. I would This would be turned off normally. I would keep that on. And actually, and yeah. So, um, if you ever used if you use Reaper and you do record something, it'll always generate these files called peaks. Um, all peaks are just images, these little just images of the sound of the waveform. Essentially, that's how Reaper saves um, waveform data and such in images. They can quickly clutter your project, so I would um, I would make sure you set this so it doesn't clutter your project and such. When you have all these things, you hit apply, and essentially every time you open a new project, it'll always have all these preferences and settings set, right? Okay. You can actually, if you want a slower and more relaxed tutorial of what I just did, you can actually, I created a tutorial video of that. You can see it's over here. Um, I'll list the, yeah, I'll share this, Google slide with everyone so they can have access to it. Um, this is the first tutorial I made. Is file paths autosaves to backups. You can check it out so that you can go at your own pace, or you can watch this recording of the stream. But it's so much longer. The next thing we'll do is, let's see, we're gonna do create a basic session, templates and organization and simple organization. Um, I can see that I have like 10 minutes left, I would say. So I'm gonna try my best. Actually, I'm gonna try my best, or 10 or 15 minutes left, because I geared this to be like 45 to an hour. But I'll see what I can do to and explaining this. So let's get rid of this right now. So we're back again with a blank session, right? I don't think I mentioned um, some of the ways to navigate Reaper and such. If you want to, if you want to create a brand new track, there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can double click this gray area, which is the track panel. You can double click it, and I'll create a brand new track. Or you can right click it, and you can say insert new track, or you can go to insert, and you can hit track, or you can press Control T, and that'll make a brand new track. Four ways to make four ways to make a track. Okay, but essentially the easiest way is just to double click, right? So remember when I mentioned earlier that Reaper has universal tracks? Well, basically you can record audio, you can have audio inside of it, you can also have MIDI data inside of it, or it can be an audio bus, right? um, if you look again, if you remember again, this is the where you can set the name, that's the arm. Over here, if we want to check the routing, we can click on this button, and we can see a bunch of the things. Oh, over here we can send this track to another track, or we can receive other tracks is inside our project session. So um, what I wanted to mention with creating a basic session, right? So we're going to create a instrumental track, and a track um, to hold our audio right now, right? So we have a brand new track right here. Let's just call this one instrumental, right? And I'm gonna change the color. So if you want to change the color, all you do is right click. Right click the track. You come down to track color, and you can set the track to a custom color. I typically choose yellow. That's just my preference. So here we have our instrumental. Um, uh, Say this project is I want to let's see. I'm recording and mixing this for a solo cover, right? What I'm gonna do then, I'm also gonna want a reference track. So I'm gonna make a brand new track, and I call this reference. And I can once again, I'm gonna change this track to yellow. Okay, so now I have my instrumental and reference track, and now I want to make a vocal track. Once again, I'm just gonna double click, make a brand new track, and we're just gonna call it vocal track. Vocal, if I can spell, vocal track. And I'm going to color it green. So, these are the fundamentals, the three fundamental tracks you need to create, like, I guess get started with covering. All you would do if you wanted to start recording is you would go over to this button, which is arm recording, right? You would click that one, and then you come down here, and then you click the record button. You can see already now the VU meter is going up and down because it's picking up my microphone right now. I'm gonna turn this off. But let's say we want to we want more vocal tracks, right? Say were gonna have we're gonna record five. I want 5 layers of vocal tracks and stuff because I'm a masochist, okay? And I will have all these tracks, right? And they're all and just have a lot. Or if you want, you could just click this and you say duplicate track, right? That'd probably be a lot better. If you want to delete a track, you would just select the track with left click and you just hit delete, just like that. Let's make like a couple tracks, right? So I have 4 vocal tracks. I have vocal track 1, vocal track 2, vocal track 3, vocal track 4, right? So this is kind of cluttered, I would say. In my mind, this is pretty cluttered. And oh, all right. I'll go over the reason why it's called armed recording in a second. When I get to just how to do a basic recording. Sorry about that. I have 2 screens and I'm looking back and forth. Say I have these 4 tracks and I want to group them all together. We're going to use Reaper's folder function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new track here. I'm just going to, if you want to click and drag, I'm just going to drag it up here, right? In order to create a folder create an audio folder, you would go over here and click this little plus button on the bottom of the track number, and that will basically create a Vogue folder. You can see all 4 of these tracks here are underneath this one track. We're gonna call this vocals, right? So we have all our we have a bunch of vocal tracks here. We have a track that's going to hold our reference and a track that's going to hold our instrumental. Let's go over just quickly. I want to start recording, right? Okay. I didn't mention this. I should have mentioned it earlier, but when this is not like Audacity where you just hit a record button and it starts recording. You have to arm a track to recording. That's basically saying setting this track ready to record, right? Essentially, if we want to arm a track, we would have to go over to each track and just hit these red buttons. So at the moment right now, I have 4 tracks that are armed for recording. They are currently ready. They're you can see that they're receiving input, but they're not recording. They're not putting audio onto our edit window or our timeline grid track. um, Essentially, if I want to then record, all I would do is hit this record button, as you can see. As you see, it says I'm about to record multiple tracks. That's okay. I'm just gonna say yes. And now I'm recording on 4 different tracks. It would tells me every time you stop a recording, this window will pop up, and it will just say, do you want to keep them all? Do you want to delete them all and such? Like say it was a bad take, right? I would say delete all, or say all of them were bad takes. I would say delete all. Or if I just want to delete a selected one, I can just click each one and hit delete. But let's just delete them all of them right now. So if I want to, let's just bring it back down to 1. So in order to like have all your audio, your microphone working, we need to make sure that your audio settings are set and correct. I probably should have gone over that a little bit before too, but I'll go over it now. You can find the audio device settings in the options. If we go back to options and we go back to preferences, we can go, you find the tab audio and you go to devices. So this is the window that links that, like, you can see your audio interface and you can see your microphone. In this case, I'm using a PreSonus Audio Box 22 VSL. That's how I use my microphone. It plugs in, and the audio interface interacts with the software. Over here, I would select line and Audio Box 22 VSL. If you're using a Blue Yeti, for example, or a Snowball or another USB microphone, this is where you would go set your input device. You'll come over here and then you would select your microphone. Let me take a sip of water. And over here is the default output, and if you want to record audio, you make sure that the input channel is set to 1. Over here it tells you if you want to turn it off, you set it to 0. But for our case, if we want to record something, we set it to 1. And I would leave most of these settings at the moment as they are. We can talk about digital audio and us another time maybe. I've been kind of speaking a lot, like straight on through. Does anyone have any questions of some sorts? I was probably going insanely fast at the moment, so I apologize. Does anyone have any questions at the moment? Okay, that's good. Well, questions are always good. Okay. Let's see. Got a question on the Discord. Audit says, is there any way to have Reaper delete takes that are not used in the project by default? Are you talking about like if I hit record like and then hit save, but I don't want that anymore and I just delete it from the track? Or is that what you're talking about? Yeah, so like example, if I were to hit like record, arm the track, and I hit record, and I say blah 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 blah, I hit stop, and I hit save all, and I don't want this anymore, and I just hit delete, but the problem, yeah, I see what you mean, because the problem is that it does not actually go away, because over here, as you can see, that vocal track is still there. I know. Actually, that's something that was a problem with me. So I actually don't know if you can do that yet, or if there is a way. Um, so I apologize if I don't know about that quite yet. So for now, if you want to clean up your files, you're gonna have to go to audio files and just delete it. But I'll look into that though. I'll write that down and research that. It would be nice if you could do that because that quickly clutters my projects. I know. Let's see. I think I was on the topic. Oh, I got a question from Got. If you have two takes on the same item, how do you delete the one you're not using? Good question. I don't think I mentioned this, but Reaper has a very great um, a great feature for recording. It basically is a take system. Let me explain quickly about takes and such. Let's excuse me. Let's drag in some audio first. Okay, let me quickly grab something at the moment. Let's do here we go. I had this up earlier, right? So we have a song right now. It's Glow from Keep by Kino, and we want to do, instead of just like hitting record and then singing, and then stopping, hitting record, stopping, we can loop Reaper. We can select a region, hit record, and then it will loop the recording so that you can kind of create takes and such. So let me demonstrate that first. I have the vocal track armed. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to just click here. Let's actually turn on snapping so that it'll be a little easier to select. I'm just gonna select this region. The way I'm selecting is just I'm left clicking and dragging on the timeline, as you can, and we can actually, I'll just show you that it is looping. Actually, it probably won't loop because you need to turn on looping. So in order to do that, go to your transport menu, transport bar, and over here you have to select toggle repeat, which is right next to the record button. Hit toggle repeat and it should loop. Oops, sorry. Really wicked loud. Let's turn it down a bit. As you can see, the audio is looping now. So, say that I want to just loop the introduction, right? So, if as I was playing it, it was looping. Well, it'll do the same exact thing if I was recording. So let's hit record and let's just do like 2 takes, right? I'll sing. Coldness covers me, the dark unending rain. Loops again. Coldness covers me, the dark unending rain. Okay, I think you get the point. Anyways, so once you finish the recording, right, you're gonna get something like this, right? As you can see a bunch of different takes. All the takes that I recorded are here. We can look at the first take I did, the second, or the third, and basically choose whichever one I think is the best one to my ears, right? So the question was, if you have 2 takes on the same item, how do you delete the one you're not using? So if you want to do that, let's first just explode this a little bit. I'll kind of make it a little wider. In order to make it to zoom in into or lengthen the track, you just hit Control. Actually, you just hit the scroll button. Sorry, just the scroll button. So the question was, again, if you have 2 takes, how do you, on the same item, how do you delete the one you're not using? I think what you do then is you just select the take, and then you select that take, and I'll show you. Say that this was my best take, right? I hit right click and I go to takes, and then I would say crop to active take, and that would basically set that to I would only be using this take and such. oftentimes what I do is if I have a bunch of takes and I want say this part was not really good. Again, I'm clicking over here. I'm hitting S, the slice. I like this piece, and I go over here and oh, I really like that piece, and over here, I like the silence. For example, okay, so if basically what I'm doing is basic comping. I'm choosing the best parts of my recording to use, and I want I'm going to basically put them all into the track. So if I listen to this, it's probably gonna sound really bad, but like coldness covers. Zach gotta work on the pitch. All right. Anyways, say I like that a lot. And I want to reduce this clutter. I would select the entire thing. Go back here, take, crop to active take, and bam. Now I have all of them inside one track and inside on one line essentially. Now also say that I want to. You can see that all these recordings are still pieced together, just like regular pieces. Well, what I would do is then click on all of these tracks. I would hit right click, and I would glue this item. And now they're all one track, except for that. I don't know why. I think it's because it was silenced. That's why. But now I have a glue track. I glued together those two tracks, and they're all one piece. I can just drag around, except for that one. This was silence, so it probably acknowledged it as silence. It didn't glue it together. Yeah, that's I think this is like a really really core feature if you're doing recording. I encourage people to who are looking to move on from like say Audacity or some sort. I encourage people to try out Reaper. It's just getting over the user interface a little bit. So I hope this tutorial will help you a little bit. Because I think the taking system is a great way to recording. You're welcome. What is this? I appreciate the Dark Souls thumbs up. Thank you. Um, let's see. Should I cover anything else? Oh, I'll cover one more thing and then I'll call it I'll call it for today. So we have all of these, right? I'm just gonna for now delete all our objects, right? So we have this instrumental, we have a reference, we have 4 vocal tracks, right? And I don't want, let's say like if I were to create a new project, right? I'd have to recreate all of these tracks by default but again. Well, you don't have to because you can save this as a template. I'll show you that right now. So if you want to save this as a template, right, I would go to File and I would do Project Template. And I would say Save Project as a template. So over here, it opens a kind of a window. This is actually a file inside Reaper already. And let's just call this TMA first template. Okay. Hit save. And now I've basically saved a template. So if I want to, let's create a new project. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say yes. Actually, always save. Right. We're back here at a blank project. If I hit go to file and I go to project template, I'm gonna see the template that I just created, and I can click that, and wham, we have all the things that we set up, all the things that all the routing, all the effects that we wanted, all of them are all saved on the template and such. I think this is a valuable, valuable thing for starting up projects. And you can have as many templates as you want. You can have a template for I'm recording just a solo cover, a template of I'm recording a chorus battle, a template for I'm recording a broadcast and I don't know how to actually stream very well and talk very well. You can have all that kind of stuff essentially. So, I can that's how do you do it basically. I can go when I'd love to, or if there's another workshop, I can go deeper into. Oh, the stream died. Oh, I apologize. Oh, the stream died for somebody. I apologize. um, um, let's see. Where I was losing my train of thought. Another time when I talk about audio busing, I'll talk. I would love to talk about some of the things that I do for my projects and such. That can be like a shorter tutorial or a shorter workshop and such. But overall, I think that covers about everything that I wanted to cover. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to say now. You're free to message me. You're free to just chat with me on the TMA Discord and such. And other than that, I appreciate you guys watching and thank you for coming. I'll take questions. I'll take questions now if you want. If anyone has any questions, I'm free to answer now. I will actually then end the broadcast right now. Thank you for coming.